Massachusetts apartment. However, he didn't dispute the reasonableness of examining his wallet as part of an inventory search. What he argued was that the police had no right to unfold the newspaper folded in his wallet. But the courts ruled that the officer was well within their rights to unfold the newspaper and look through the other various loose papers in the wallet to identify them and determine if they were of value. And lastly, Duquette argued that the trial court committed prejudicial error by admitting evidence concerning the sexual assault of MC in October of 1983 and the sexual assault and kidnapping of NL in June of 1988. I had to sift through the legal jargon, and guys, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, so I had a difficult time understanding a good portion of what it said, but I think I got the gist of it. So, while Duquette isn't necessarily wrong, he is wrong. The court allowing the evidence in is certainly prejudicial, and it absolutely should not have been allowed to prove his character. However, it can be used to shed light on other things, like motive, intent, or plan, and it is also left up to the discretion of the judge to make this distinction. The judge concluded that all three crimes, quote, bore the imprint of Duquette and was necessary to identify him as the assailant in the case, and that evidence showed that he planned to obtain sexual gratification from the young girls by abducting them in his vehicle. So in the end, the court denied his appeal. Thank goodness. So Duquette is being held at the Old Colony Correctional Center in Bridgewater. After he serves his time there, he'll get sent to Wisconsin to serve the time that he is owed. I'm sure he'll be dead before that happens. Well, that's it, right? Not quite. We've got a little bit more to go. While Anne, Tara, and the other two girls this monster came across got some justice, there may be two more victims that still need justice for their deaths. If you jump on Reddit and do a little digging, there are claims that James Duquette is responsible for at least two more. Denise Lack was a troubled young woman. She was estranged from her family over her involvement in a cult-like religious group called The Way. It was a non-denominational ministry headquartered in rural Ohio. She would sometimes refer to herself as a, quote, prophet, and had told others that God had talked to her directly. Her sometimes roommate told investigators that she would sometimes accept rides from strangers and would even solicit rides in order to gain opportunities to spread the good word. Denise was last seen November 15, 1979, by a Kimberly couple who dropped her off within a couple of blocks of her home following a meeting within the group. Less than 3 days later, two hunters discovered her bloodied, battered, and nude body in the woods of Putnam County, about 25 miles north of Peoria, Illinois. Police said that the woman had been strangled and that she had been dead only 3 or 4 hours when her body was found near the small town of Henry, Illinois, which was about a 4-hour drive from Appleton. Lack's murder remains an unsolved case in police files in Illinois, in part because the killer's trail was cold from the beginning due to an inexplicable oversight by authorities. It wasn't until May 1986, 6.5 years later, that an Illinois State Police investigator matched up an Appleton Police Department's missing persons report and the Putnam County Sheriff's Department found body report to identify the Appleton woman who had been given a pauper's burial under a Jane Doe headstone a few months after she was found. As of 2009, a new set of police officials reviewed the case file and said they intend to check whether Illinois state investigators ever pursued an interview with serial killer James Duquette. The case file has no solid suspects. It does, however, contain a handwritten note on a yellow legal paper from December 1988 signed by former Sheriff Phil Hansen regarding a telephone call from Outagamie County Sheriff Sergeant Jim Wade. It indicated that Jeff Whitman had provided information about Denise's homicide as part of a plea bargain. There was no note as to whether this lead was ever followed up on. While both Anne and Tara had been sexually assaulted and strangled by Duquette, Lack's case is somewhat different. The autopsy report indicated she died of strangulation, but despite being found nude, there was no evidence of sexual assault. Unfortunately, Duquette is the only lead they have, and I'm not sure if they were able to interview them. On November 4th, 1978, the nude, decomposed body of 17-year-old Dawn Schnetzer was found in a wooded area in Calumet County. She was last seen alive during the early morning hours of September 15, 1978, when a friend dropped her off near an apartment that became a place of interest in 2015. DNA evidence was found, but unfortunately nothing was learned. Her murder is still unsolved, and because James Duquette was known to have been in the area during her disappearance, police think he is a good suspect. However, I have actually more articles saying that Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole are linked to this murder. I don't know if James murdered those other women, and I'm not sure if they'll ever figure out who did. I mean, sure, the easy answer is just pin it on the guy who's already been convicted of similar crimes, but that's not the justice their family deserves. Well, guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. You can follow me at my Facebook page at True Crime Spirits. You can catch me on Twitter at Crime Spirits, and you can check out my Instagram at Bombazzled, BMBAZZLED, or shoot me an email at truecrimespirits@gmail.com. You can find my podcast on most platforms except Apple.